Okay, Nick and Andy, let's preview a massive game, the AFCON final this Sunday. Host Morocco face surging Senegal. I mean, who are the favourites here, Nick? Because, Senegal missing a few key players, but have been excellent for a long period of time now and have some real superstars and great experience. But Morocco at home, their fans are incredible, going for that first AFCON title since 1976. So it's been a long time coming. And it feels like the stars have aligned for Morocco to win it. But this should be a great final.
It should. I think both of these teams are fantastic. I know we were in our group chat during that last game, and Andy was saying how it would be nice if Morocco won because they go for it, and that's kind of what I'm looking for here. Senegal to me is that team that is you'd almost bet on them winning almost any game, but they're going to have a stinker at some point. But here's the thing, and here's why I'm calling them out here in a good way. They've lost one game in the last 2 years, and it was to a Brazil in a friendly. There's a sense of, I don't want to say pride or guts or heart or whatever it is, but when you watch them play, they're a determined bunch. And there's just that sort of, whenever us analytical mind people, myself included, we always hate when people talk about momentum or heart or intangibles because those can't really be thrown out there in terms of numbers. But there's something about this team. If someone's going to handle the sort of whatever sort of tomfoolery happens at the team hotel the night before because the game's in Morocco, there's just something about Senegal that tells me that they're the favorites here.
Yeah, I mean, they've got experience, right? Andy obviously won it, 2 tournaments ago, so they're going for 2 titles in the last 3. Sadio Mane factor, scored the winner against Egypt last time. They've got that experience, and we've seen them putting some really good performances in recent months. But I mean, Morocco just conceded just once in this tournament at home, just looked so stodgy. And we saw it at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, how well they did. And again, maybe this is me just being a romantic, but the fact that you're at home, you're going to have the majority of the fans there, just feels like the perfect moment for them, and just kind of would nicely put a bow on their rise to becoming one of the best teams, if not the best team African soccer's ever had. And then they've got big hopes, right, for the World Cup in the US, Mexico, and Canada this upcoming summer as well. So this is going to be a fun precursor to the World Cup.
Yeah, it is, and it's an incredible run that they've been on these last handful of years, and it has been part of a golden generation, if you will. But they've also brought some new young stardom into the team, and Brahim Diaz leading the tournament with 5 goals now, and he's been electric for this team. And I mean, his record for Morocco period is pretty special: 13 goals in 21 appearances. After making kind of the mid-career switch. Not to make it about 2 attacking players, because obviously they're not going to, head to head very much, but him or Mane, it feels like one of them stepping up in this game is what it's going to take. And Mane did it obviously in the semifinal. Nobody from Morocco was able to do it against that Nigerian defense. Credit to them the way that they defended for 120 minutes. But I am glad that Morocco's the team that came through, because I do think that they will give us the best spectacle in the final. You have the host nation in the final as well. This is, I think, probably certainly the 2 best teams in the tournament. And I think if we had looked at the field coming into the tournament, would have said probably these 2 is what we would have wanted, because they are, there's such a contrast in the styles that we've seen from teams in this tournament, where it's either ultra defensive, and let's be honest, nobody really wants to watch that. 2 teams not really try to play football against each other. And so to have these 2 teams in the final, I couldn't be more excited for it. Morocco's the story that you want to root for, right? Like they're the feel-good story, and the one that you can get behind, and look at the momentum generated between the last World Cup, this tournament, and then 5 months from now going into the 2026 World Cup.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of, I'm looking at the key battles in this one, Nick. I mean, Senegal missing some key players, right? I think that's where it could tip the scales in Morocco's favour. I mean, Koulibaly being out, centre-back leader, his experience, how important he is to Senegal, that's huge for Morocco's hopes. And then Diarra being out as well. And then Morocco basically having everyone available and having such a settled back 4. Obviously, Bono and goal has been excellent for a long time now. I don't think there's going to be many goals in this game, is there? Because just the stakes. I mean, we talk about this a lot in finals, how tight it's going to be. But this is a final, I think, that could really, really do with an early goal just to open it up, and then it could be chaotic. But I mean, how do you see this playing out? Because again, Morocco, as great as it is going to be an occasion, the fans are going to be there for the host nation. That's a lot of pressure as well on their shoulders to bring it home.
It is. I think the difference in this game may well come down to Idrissa Gana Gueye and the midfield. That's the only area where I think, in terms of strict midfielders. Now, when you talk about Hakimi getting into the midfield and you talk about how Morocco plays in the center of the park without maybe traditional players, whether it's somebody dropping back to help, okay, then move that to the side. But in terms of straight up midfielders, I think it's the one area where Senegal has hope of controlling the game before it gets to Koulibaly, who's not there. But, before it gets to that absence behind him, both teams have goalies who can do the sort of thing that absolutely steal a game for you. And both teams have forwards who can do the trick as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if either team won. There's been something with me. I think if I can say one thing that might be a little audacious, is Hakimi already in the discussion as one of the best African players in history? Man, he's probably 27, 28 years old. And every time going back to when he was at Dortmund and 21 years old, it's just the power, the pace, the intelligence, the leadership, the intangibles I talked about. He's the reason why I would never want to bet against Morocco.
Yeah, no, I love that shout. I think he is already an absolute legend of the game for what he's achieved. And my word, if he could lead Morocco to this success on home soil, then the statue will be ready. I'm pretty sure, right, Andy? So who are you going with, mate, for score?
Yeah, just complete all-around footballer. Can do it in all 3/3 of the field. To Nick's point, he's a threat in the final third. Obviously, tucking inside from that fullback position, and then getting back defensively. There's not many players that are as rounded as he is as a player, and not to pump the Premier League into this, but would love at some point to see him make his way into the Premier League and see what that looks like, and if he can kind of replicate that there. For this final, though, man, I truly don't know, and it's crazy because every time you get to a final, you always have a lean, right? You always feel like, I personally always root for the the lesser favorite, the underdog team, whatever, if I don't have any stake in the game. I don't know which side to do that for this time. And so I think going for the feel-good factor of Morocco and having it at home at some point in the game, that's going to matter, right? Whether it's at the very beginning and they come shooting out of a cannon and they just take the game to Senegal right away, or it's a little bit slow and stodgy and they need a push to get over the line late. I think it's going to matter a little bit. I'm going to go 1-0 because it feels like every final ever, looks and plays like a 1-0. So Morocco, first time in 50 years, winning AFCON, first time in the final in 22 years as well. It, really kind of paints a picture of what we expected this coming into the tournament because of what they did in 2022, but what an unlikely story that this entire, last few years has been for Morocco, and one of the best stories in world football, period.
Oh yeah, very romantic story. And I think if, both teams, I think we could really enjoy if either of these nations won it here. I think they're both very lovable teams in terms of the way they play and just the players they have. But also, we take the romance out of it. These are also the top two nations in Africa in terms of the FIFA rankings. So we've also got the two best teams, we think. And really, I think we can argue they are a class above the other teams in this tournament so far. So I'm really excited for that. And this caps off what's been a really wonderful and fun tournament. And I'm going to go for the host as well. Morocco 2-1. I just think some of those key players missing for Senegal maybe just is a little bit too much for them to handle. I think Morocco has a bit more squad depth and just some of the players they can bring off the bench. And yeah, I just think the home crowd and all the rest of it is going to give them that extra little boost. And I just think they're going to get it done. Nick, what are you going for, mate?
I'm going for this to be decided in penalties. And then I'm going to give I think it's going to be super tight, and I give the edge to Morocco. Going back to the World Cup, Bono against Spain, and just the last game, right? So the experience on their side gets to penalty, it would feel very romantic for Bono to be the guy.
Yeah, let's see if Bono can make it a perfect day for Morocco. And
beautiful day.
Yeah, beautiful day, and and win the African Cup of Nations for the first time in 50 years. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest between Senegal and Morocco. What a tournament. Let's see what the final delivers.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.